Mind that chili is a very basic kind of food made out of some very basic kind of parts. I mean, we got meat, chili powder.
With an eye.
Right, we need a liquid and some kind of thickener of some type. And I reckon we could use some vegetation, like maybe some onions.
And garlic powder.
Yeah, garlic powder too. And if we don't go and get crazy with it, I reckon we could use some canned tomatoes. But right now, what we need to do is wrestle us up a little bit of meat. Which way?
Hot diggity down!
All right, that way. All right, here we go.
Seriously pursue barbecue, I think we ought to define it. It's actually kind of tricky, seeing as how it's a verb, meaning either to broil or roast whole or large pieces of meat over an open fire on a spit or a grill, often seasoning with vinegar, spices, salt, and pepper, or to cook in a highly seasoned sauce. Barbecue is also several nouns. For instance, any food cooked in a barbecue style, or a grill-like device used to cook barbecue, or, I like this, an outdoor event, often with a social or political focus at which meats are cooked outdoors, and it's an adjective, as in barbecue.
Wow, they're getting really worked up out there. You better get cooking.
Tell me about it. Got any ideas for me? Any inspiration?
Use your noodle. Ta-ta.
My noodle. What did she mean by that? Hey.
Morning. Ooh, just a few more days till the big competition. Oh, this may be the year. Yes, I think so. That sounded like a soft-bellied tomato pecker. Nah, they only live in the Andes. Well, I better go check my bird caller CD.
You know, fire may get top billing on the list of man's big culinary breakthroughs, but flames didn't really reach their full potential until they teamed up with water. That's because water is capable of carrying not only heat, but flavor and nutrients. Now, nobody knows exactly who came up with the idea of cooking in water, but we do know the man was taking soup orders before he actually had a pot to make it in.
Waiter! Sounds like someone's having a bad night.
Run for your lives! Run for your lives! The meatball, she is on the loose!
Much dairy at all anymore because, well, milk used to tell me to do bad things.
Hey, Mr. B, want some nice warm cookies?
No, I don't want any nice warm cookies.
What, you chicken?
I am not chicken. You stop that. We all, have our personal demons. Listen, bye.
Hey, what about your trail mix?
Keep it! You're gonna need it!
Happy little children and fairies and puppies and kittens and snowflakes on it.
I thought we wanted people to eat these, not throw up on them.
You think that's funny?
Maybe a little.
I think wedgies are funny.
Wedgies, right? Oh! That was a crazy dream. Next, the strong. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Ships, high seas, pirates, rum. Wrong. Remember, rum or rumbullion was primarily a Caribbean beverage, and that's on the other side of the planet. No, the strong of choice on this ship, Batavia Arak, a potent, potable, distilled from fermented sugarcane and red rice. It comes from Java, which of course is under the control of those doily-necked hooligans, the Dutch East India Company. Back in the days when guys in white uniforms and funny hats used to deliver milk right to your door. Hiya, bud.
Mr. Brown.
Hey, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what starch does. I mean, we suspended all of those little flour granules in fat, right? So that they're evenly distributed now through the broth. And as the broth gets hotter, these little guys will all of a sudden open up, delivering their starchy payload all through the liquid. And of course, what does that do? Well, all of these little tangles form a mesh, the trap liquid. Thus, we have gravy. Sorry.
Well, if Master's looking to pinch a few pennies, just use Blendy. Here, Blendy, Blendy, Blendy. Here, Blendy. Blendy.
A blender.
Yes,
yeah.
Blendy. Oh. Ooh, look. Seedsies.
Yeah, arils. Yeah, okay. So just dump them right in there then?
Put them right in there. Put the lid on. And pulse a few times. Take this up, strain out the nasty pulpy stuff, and voila.
Oh, that's a good idea. Multitasker. I like it. You know, I don't recognize this blender.
Oh, it's mine. You know, a goldfish.
I just heard my mom call me.
Oh, tell her I said hello. I sure do miss the old days.
Okay.
What fun we used to have.
Oh, yeah, sure will. Pardon, mademoiselle, do you think that I could ask the cooks for the recipe?
That is funny.
Like Jerry Lewis.
Why?
Because you can never make bouillabaisse.
Because you are not French.
You do not have the right fish.
Or the tomatoes.
Or the fennel.
Saffron.
You are lucky we let you eat here.
Because you will never.
Ever.
Successfully prepare.
The popcorn has been bathed in noxious flavorants and
so
dosed up with
rude.
so much salt you could make a mini Lots wise.
Excuse me, sir.
Just a second. As for the popping itself, what used to be a communal act bonding families, friends, lovers, has been left to big industry. Or worse, consigned to that soulless box, the microwave.
All right, that's it, sir. Come on.
Well, I say, it's time for popcorn lovers to take back the snack. Take back the snack.
Come on.
Because not only is popcorn good and good for you, it's good, clean fun. Not to mention...
If you want to understand how to cook whole fish, it really helps to have a good idea of how fish do what they do, and that means having some understanding of anatomy. There's no better way to gain this type of knowledge than through direct observation, which is why I'm taking a walk on the wet side in the Ocean Voyager habitat at the state-of-the-art Georgia Aquarium.
Now, most terrestrial critters, like myself, fight a constant battle with gravity just to stay upright. But most fish are blessed with a structure called a flotation bladder. Now, what this thing does is it allows them to essentially hover anywhere in the water column that they want to go. That means that they can concentrate their muscle energy on locomotion. Now, some fish slither like snakes, some fly like birds, but most of the fish that make it onto our dinner plates locomote via oscillation. If you look around, you'll see that most of these fish actually twitch side to side. They use muscles that go down both sides of their spines called myotomes. They relax them, they flex them, and they move through the water very efficiently.
This is a gyroscope. That is a device composed of a weighted flywheel on an axle, which is free to move in any direction. When the wheel spins fast, the gyroscope demonstrates conservation of angular momentum. That is, the axle resists reorientation.
Yeah, the Greeks invented those things, you know.
No, actually, I didn't know that. Now, gyroscopes make many modern marvels possible. Things like non-magnetic shipboard compasses and motorcycles, which are stabilized by two gyroscopes, the front and back wheels.
You know, the Greeks invented those too. Say, you should mention the Greek word gyros, which means to turn.
I'll be sure to get on that. Now, since it's been anglicized, gyroscope is pronounced with a J, even though the root word gyros is pronounced with a Y sound. And that explains why this is a gyro and this is
a gyro sandwich.
Yes, gyros are composed of a lot of
mouth-watering lamb, onion, tomato, and tzatziki sauce wrapped up in a warm pita, which, by the way, was invented by the Greeks.
Really? Well, I know a few Persian descendants who might argue that point, but that's another show. If you got a pepper shaker on your table, I want you to pick it up. I want you to go over to the window, open the window, and yell, "I'm mad as..." Now, on second thought, maybe you can make it into a cinnamon shaker for... Although I suspect that a controlled sonic pulse system is the key to perfect pepper grinding, almost every pepper mill currently on the planet is based upon a design introduced in 1874 by Jean-Pierre and Jean-Frédéric Peugeot, who at the time were best known for manufacturing hand saws, of all things. Now, their design featured a wooden tube which fed the pepper into a rotary mill composed of a grooved male head and a grooved female ring. Although steel has long been the norm, ceramic mechanisms, which are quieter and I think more precise, are now coming onto the scene. Another new development, some mills are replacing the classic drive shaft with a mill housing that allows the entire container to be turned.
Potato chips.
Fish sticks. Carrots.
All fine suggestions, ladies and gentlemen, but what we had in mind was sausage. That's right, sausage.
Isn't sausage primarily a Southern food?
Actually, Senator, sausage is endemic to a wide variety of political and ethnic structures. In fact, Bavaria has over 100 varieties, and in China...
Mr. Brown, don't all sausages contain pork?
Hey, I was talking here, Buster.
That's okay.
No, sir. Sausage contains all meats, from beef to lamb to chicken, even fish.
It's the proteins.
It's the enzymes.
The proteins.
Enzymes.
But I had such great expectations. Indeed, I never thought the modern age would bring such
hard times.
We got duck.
Look, Dickens' house has duck. Our mutual friend here can set us up with a duck. Ducks are a lot like geese. They're just smaller and they don't have long necks, but they float, they fly. It's the same thing.
I'm afraid it's just not the same thing. This is very depressing.
Look, now you want to hear me? Every third planet you must stop to drain your pheasant. My Kloop has a bigger pheasant than you. Thanks for on your Kloop, Ping Bob. At least I do not foul the vessel's atmosphere with emissions from my life forms. Snood, I care not. I mingle my first.
Matilda!
It approaches. Ping Bob, we must get to vessel now. Oh, father.
Uh-oh, here comes sugar. And sugar is very, very hygroscopic. And no matter how much pectin please, water just can't say no to sugar. Always gets his way. Poor pectin. The force of the infamous... It is the horrible monster Tempura who comes ashore every 100 years to feast on the flesh of cooks. Oh, the humanity! Who will save us? Stop. Well, I hope that we've given you a new appreciation for good old H2O, regardless of how it gets into your home. How you decide to treat it once it's there can radically improve its flavor and performance.
Yeah, that fancy bottled stuff ain't got nothing on me.
No, you're the Aquabomb, no doubt about it. Lactose intolerant. That means that they lack the enzyme necessary to break down lactose, a sugar that occurs naturally in milk. Now, when these people drink milk or eat young cheeses, they get a painful punch from...
I'm Lactose Man!
Yes, from Lactose Man. You know what, Lactose Man? I'm not afraid of you.
Oh, you will be.
You will be. Oh, yeah? Take a best shot! Wait. No, I don't want... Does something about this scenario seem oddly familiar? Yes, indeed it does.
I smell the green bean casserole. Where is it?
It's down here, Mr. Giant, if you want to try some.
There's some on me, little man.
There you go.
Oh, kind of hot.
Hope you like it.
Smells good. Better than the wife's. She gets hers from the back of a can.
Harvey, you get back here this instant!
Gotta go. You see that man that stole my hen? You let me know.
Yeah, I'll be sure to do that.
Yeah, all right.
You have a nice day now.
I'm coming, honey bun. Peace out, little dude.
Additionally, our musical director is going to play a little ditty, and we'll spin the wheel during the time that the ditty is playing. And when he stops playing the ditty, we'll stop and extract the card. Hit it, maestro! We've inspired you to bring back a little of the dinner table culture that made America great. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Pardon me.
Pardon, but I believe you've got a great dose of your gooiness onto my Yafka. Perhaps it is you who's inserted your breadiness into my naughty goodness. That's not bad. Boy, howdy. Hey, have you seen where my carpet landed?
A historic day, to say the least. modern miracle that's, well, not really that modern since the Chinese invented it about 1500 BC or something like that. Simply put, you take a plant that has root characteristics you like, you whack it off, you take a little piece of the plant that you want to copy, you shave down the sides, cut a V in the original, and just stick that new plant right down in there. You wrap the whole thing up with a fancy rubber band, and the plant will become whatever piece is on top. Chickens?
This is a red jungle fowl from Southeast Asia, which is the ancestor of all chickens.
Really?
It is. And this bird grew up on the ground-dwelling bird, just flew short distances to get away from predators and maybe to chase bugs, that type of thing, fly up into trees. And that was sort of the way the original dinosaurs that evolved into birds used their wings, certainly.
So it's not that these guys devolved from eagles, it's just that they got off the evolutionary boat before that, I guess.
Exactly. They used their wings like the dinosaurs that became birds used their wings.
Well, Prize Committee. Well, it's about time. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry, that was, of course, just a dramatization. As you may recall from our premiere episode, Stake Your Claim, the steaks that we buy down at the local Megamart are actually cut or fabricated from larger cuts or primals. You may also recall that the real money steaks come from... Okay, all right. Well, settlers to grow them to avert starvation. So crucial were pumpkins to life that one pilgrim penned these lines.
For pottage and puddings and custards and pies, our parsnips and pumpkins are common supplies. Pumpkins in morning and pumpkins at noon. If it were not for pumpkins, we should be undone.
Undone. I'd work on that if I were you.
Hard edges are the problems. Mallets with rounded edges cause less tearing.
What about materials?
Wood mallets are lighter than the metal ones, so you have a lot more strikes and a lot more work.
Okay, so metal it is.
You know, ultimately, pounding's about controlling the strike to deliver the right amount of force.
Right. Hey, you know, this doesn't look bad here at all.
Well, with good reason, because you see that. Stop!
Work. They got one of them? Bam! Good. Darn it, you startled me, boy. I'll call you if I need you. Anybody else?
Everybody knows you have to thump, 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 thump.
Stop it! Stop! I can't take it anymore. God. Produce man, what's eating you?
It's the thumping, Mr. Brown. All day, every day. It's the thumping, the never-ending sound of thumping.
Okay, thumping, got it. Look, are you trying to tell me that you don't want your customers to be able to find ripe melons?
Of course I do. It's my life's work. But you know, thumping is... it's stupid.
Oh, okay. Not sugar-free, but unsweetened cherry beverage mix. What brand? Well, here's a little hint for you.
Oh, yeah!
I thought you were supposed to be a pitcher, not a glass.
I know, but a glass is cheaper to make.
Oh, well, do you think they're gonna get it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, thanks.
No problem. I'll come back and get the wall later. Bye.
Summer, August. You! When is it?
What?
What season is it, man?
Chill, dude, it's summertime.
Summertime? It is. Look at the produce. Beautiful. Peaches, nectarines, apricots. They're beautiful. Plums, and everything's here. I'm not alone. Thomas Say said so too, and he was the first American zoologist to make serious study of them, 1817, I think. And I'm sure that predates the use of the word crayfish by, I don't know, at least a couple of decades. So, you are a crawfish. Now, crawfish are freshwater decapods, thus 10 legs, and they are indeed related to lobsters. Now, some 500 species can be found worldwide, from southern Europe to southeastern Russia, Madagascar, and Australia. Ooh, Tasmania is actually home to a crawfish that grows larger than most lobster. Like, say, a cup of our burgundy. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to add that it's important to do this off the heat. Otherwise, you get a lot of flames. Why does this happen? Well, it helps to know a little bit about alcohol. 100 parts of flour, 50 parts of water or water-type liquid, 35 parts of solid fat, and 0.0125 parts of salt, which we can translate to 1.25%. So, if we start with, say, 20 ounces of flour, the liquid would be... 10 ounces, master. And the fat would be? The fat is 7.5 ounces, master. And the salt would be? The salt is 1/4 ounce, master. Excellent. And I believe that we can simply convert that to 2 1/4 teaspoons, which I have right here. Let's cook. Sprinkle on a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt and devour. I promise you, you'll never buy store-bought cottage cheese again. Well, you might, but you won't like it. Up while still warm in either a napkin or an old newspaper, and they'd stash them in lunch boxes or even right in the pockets of their mates, who then went off to the coal mines. That it is said the devil himself would not go to Cornwall for fear of being cooked into one of these pies. Is that true?
Man, are you kidding? I'm Satan. I'm the thin red dude. I'm not scared of no... Ah!
Well, perhaps before we actually try to make pies of our own, we should consider the various characteristics that we might be looking for in a pocket pie crust. That's going to leave a mark.
I hope and I pray that one day you have a kid like you, eh?
Mama. Okay, easy there, big girl. Japan, China, peach blossoms are symbols of virginity. And of course, also in Japan, peaches are considered very useful in the exorcising of demons.
Exercising demons? That's the only exercise I get.
I can see that.
But I do love to eat a peach. Would you care to join me after the show for a bushel?
A bushel? Sure. Gee, I'll just have a little... Oops! Oh, I'm sorry. I think that's going to leave a mark.
Chatting online with babes all day.
You know, that's fine. I'll get what I need from W.
Oh, no, master mustn't. Mean and cruel she is. She hates us.
A 2-ton knife shop with an attitude. Albertosaurus here was one large living theropod. Like many of his prehistoric pals, he did as he pleased. He hung out with friends, ate whatever he could get his jaws around, which was a lot, and made little dinosaurs. But now some new paleontological musings suggest that Big Al and his friends didn't really become extinct at all. They just underwent a long-term downsizing, the ultimate result of which may have been Gallus domesticus, a relative newcomer on the animal kingdom block. The chicken, as we know, it's only about 4,000 or 5,000 years old, and yet he shares many of Big Al's interests, hanging out with friends, eating anything he can get his beak around, and making little... Now, you may have heard that back in medieval times that... The period, not the supper club. Oh, I wish you'd quit that.
The German Beifel became the medieval French Gaufret, which eventually became gaufrette. Now, the closest thing we have to gaufrette in the United States is the ice cream cone.
Oh, speaking of...
S'il vous plaît. Merci.
Come on. Hey, Mr. Rooster. Time to learn about your place on the old food chain, okay? Okay. Nice, Rooster. You didn't want to see me kill the rooster anyway, did you? No, of course not. Let's go to the grocery store, okay?
My tureen! Well, I'm sorry, Alton. I was hungry. This is a great fridge to be in, by the way.
The lady of the refrigerator digs my tureen. birds, especially exotics like parrots, are extremely vulnerable to toxic gases. That's why right up to the dawn of the 20th century, miners took canaries with them down into the coal mines to act as kind of living gas detectors. They knew that if the bird died, it was time to clear out.
You're napping. Wakey, wakey. I said wakey, wakey. Wakey, wakey, little buddy. Wakey.
Can indeed be pickled. You just want to look for a few characteristics. Although small, they should be firm, nice rounded ends. Nice to see a little stem on the bottom. Color should be, well, anything from dark green to mottled or striated like this. If they're yellow all the way across, you want to avoid them. There are probably going to be some little spines or warts, and that is fine. I want to make sure I understand this. You ran away from your elderly parents, then narrowly escaped being consumed by, let me see, it was a chicken, a dog, a cow, and a horse before you were attacked and injured by a wily fox? Is that right? Oh, that is nasty. And yet what you find really upsetting is that after just a nibble, this fox let you go, saying that you didn't taste very good. Is that right? Well, I hope that we've opened your eyes, mouth, and minds to the unique and uniquely satisfying culinary possibilities presented by the world's most fascinating rhizome. Of course, it's too late for you, really, since you're already baked. But don't worry, we can take you for a spin in the food processor and rebuild you as a nice cheesecake crust. Ha ha ha! Oh, sure, go ahead, run as fast as you can. You won't be able to escape the good eats, man. Come back here, you naughty little cook. Chocolate glazed donut simply by sticking a donut into some melted chocolate. This actually doesn't work. Well, I mean, it would work, but as soon as you bit into the donut, the chocolate would just shatter, kind of like the bad Terminator in Terminator 2. Or, no, never mind. It is said that during World War II, the RAF shoveled so many carrots into their pilots in order to improve their night vision that you could actually pick the poor blokes out of a crowd simply by their orange skin. Brilliant! This happened because excess beta-carotene is stored in skin and fat cells. Now, since this form of vitamin A never becomes toxic, the only harm is cosmetic. However, the vitamin A we get from animal tissue can be toxic, especially if it comes from the livers of Arctic critters. Believe it or not, one polar bear liver can kill you quicker than a blowfish fillet. Dismissed! Meatless yuckus. Pitiful? Perhaps. Preventable? Positively. After all, we're Americans, right? Grilling is in our bones. Behold, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, citizens of the universe, the turkey derrick. You want to see it work? You want to see it work, don't you? Bye-bye nougat, caramel, and crisp cookie crunch. Bye-bye pretzels, chocolate-covered everything. Now, I still keep around a few other brushes for various tasks, but for butter, there can be only one. There. I think that's about finished. This will give the little critter plenty of time to wake up and spring into action. Realistic? Maybe. Boring? Definitely. Well, it's been 10 minutes and, hey, we've made progress. Good thing, too, because I was starting to think my spore was on death's door.
Do you like plays?
Huh?
Good, because you're in one.
Once upon a time in 1944, or 45, I can't remember which, Chef Anaya was getting ready to lock up the kitchen for the night at the Victory Club in Piedras Negras, Mexico. When 3 military wives from Fort Duncan, just over the border, dropped in after a long day of sightseeing and shopping. But Chef Anaya told them, alas, the kitchen, it is closed.
Alas, the kitchen, it is closed.
But we have been out shopping all day, and we are so hungry. Surely you have some leftovers you can make something out of? Well, can't you make anything?
I will withdraw to the kitchen to ponder the possibilities. Okay, all right, just one more. Little bunny step, one more tiny itsy bitsy. But I gotcha! It's Haas and Pfeffer tonight! What the... What? I hate that rabbit. Coal into a steam. The original rule was shop it. And you eat it.
Is this going somewhere
Indeed it is. We also get from that to chick, you know, as in rub rock. You know, like somebody rubs up against your personality. Cool man. You got it right. You know, chafing dishes are pretty cool. But if you don't have room for one in your life, don't despair. Making your own chafing rig.
Hey, nice shooting, Tex.
I thought I told you not to cross the streams. What do you think?
I think it looks great. I think you look great.
You look great.
But it really needs a candle or something.
Or something? I vote for or something. Nothing around here works. Thank you for coming, Atlanta. I love you.